Hi guys, welcome to episode 12 of the Trainer Feed. We are following up from last week's episode where we really focused on the topic of Black Lives Matter. This week we're getting back to fitness and we have a special guest with us today, Mell Librach. But before we bring her in, let's see how the guys are doing. David, how you doing?
Good. Everything's good. It's not as hot as it was yesterday. It's fucking humid as fuck.
That's why you're wearing the hat.
Exactly. And keeping my hair in check. I'm gonna fucking go everywhere. Yeah, I feel good. How are you guys?
Good. Angel?
Yeah, I'm good. It was good to touch on the Black Lives Matter episode. Excuse me. It was good to touch up on that topic. Obviously, things are still going on right now, but it's good to kind of be in the full swing of things and keep things rolling. So everything has been good this week. I'm feeling good and all that stuff. How about you? You've been good? You've been good?
Yeah, a couple of days is a little slower than others, but we're coming out to the city on Monday, and I'm pretty excited to try and get some normalcy back. Try and see you guys 6 feet apart, maybe. But
That's good.
yeah, I'm excited. All right, should we bring Mel in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so yes, Mell Librach is a very good friend. She's a former personal training manager at West 76th Street, and thanks for joining us, Mel.
Oh my gosh, look at you guys. Oh, this makes my year. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
How are you doing?
I'm crazy, butterflies in my stomach, all that stuff.
How's the little one?
Not so little, kind of big, 7 and telling me I'm not a little baby anymore. So, so I have to ask him well, what's cool to say then? I'm like, he's like, just say just Jax, because I call him Jaxie. So now it's all changing.
Wow, that's a big
thing. Mel, you're the mom. Shit. I'm calling you. You're 35. Fuck that.
And I want to do his little tushy because he's got a little tush, and he's like, nah. I don't know. I guess it's all done now.
Wow.
Look at you guys doing big things. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for joining us. It's a big opportunity for us to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
Great. I haven't spoken to you in what? More than a year?
Well, you haven't tagged me in any crazy animal posts lately, so.
True.
Oh, David.
Get back on that. Calling me out.
Hey, Baby Yoda memes by
It feels weird when I don't do that, right? So,
yeah. Like kissing the cats and stuff, or it's
I got you. Don't worry.
I haven't gotten any of those, and I don't know. Maybe that's about right.
They're coming. You're gonna regret that.
It's gonna be flooded. I talked to Angel on his birthday because we share a birthday.
Yep, that's very true.
Talked meaning, social media, but.
Yeah, and it's crazy how on the birthday you would think it would be easier to remember somebody's birthday because it's on your birthday, but then at the same time it's just everybody's reaching out to you, and the one person that you might forget to
share a birthday with.
Yeah, exactly, is the person that you share a birthday with. But it was good talking to you.
It was crazy. My friend, I was working out this morning with 2 friends, and it was her birthday. And she told me, "Yep, Wednesday." She's like, "It was my birthday Wednesday. I'm gonna bring my boyfriend or whatever. We'll work out." I'm like, "Cool, let's do it." And then today I didn't say shit until I think I came back home, or we were close to my apartment, and they were walking away, and I said, and then her boyfriend said something about the birthday or something. I'm like, "Oh my god!" Happy birthday.
That doesn't surprise David. That sounds like you. It doesn't so much surprise
see you
me.
later. Okay, bye. Anyway.
So we really want to get to know about your journey and what your fitness picture looks like. But we want to get into what does your journey into the fitness world look like? How did it come about? How did it start? Where you are now? Sort of thing.
Well, I guess the short version is just that I was never into sports or anything in high school. Actually, my high school was back and forth in between, California and Bend, Oregon. And so never really got completely invested in sports in high school. So it came definitely later. And I was the type of person that would go to the gym whenever I could, 3 or 4 times a week, and do like the mirror bicep stuff and elliptical, right? So I was always fit in that way, sort of. I got really into working out probably around 28, 29, and that's like when Beachbody started coming out, like actual Tony, what's his name? Tony, you know, the guy.
Tony.
I
was gonna say Tony Robbins, but that's not him.
No, it's
Tony the Tiger.
no.
Tony the Tiger.
And so I was like, oh, Beachbody is cool. And we had a little, I don't know, place that we could do it. So I got into it a lot then. And then, well, then I got pregnant, and I, you know, ultimately had 2 children, 2 births, 2 pregnancies. And, you know, for my last pregnancy, I was on bed rest. And so I was you know, what was I, 36, 37, and a bed rest mess. So atrophied, and I didn't want to be that way. So I just started doing lots and lots of research on how to be able to, you know, move again and not hurt and not ache and not be tired. And so that's where it started. And I wanted to do it right. And I just started researching, and then as people started seeing me change, they would then, it was mothers, you know, spent a lot of time in the NICU, and people would start asking me like what I was doing and so on and so forth. And then when my son became 1, everybody was asking me, I was like, oh, well, maybe I should get educated, and I have the time, and I'm not going back to work right now. So that's when I started doing my certification. Then Equinox has this, they don't have it on the East Coast, I don't believe, but it's called Equinox Academy. And it's where you go and you train with the master trainers. Do they have it on the East Coast now?
Yeah, I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah, the EFTI program, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Before
Yeah, so this is for people who don't work there. Like you can pay.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
go.
they do,
before
yeah.
EFTI.
Like it's a
Yeah.
condensed 10 to 11 week course when they, I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So I did that. I took that course for the simple purpose of, you know, I wasn't thinking of being a trainer. I was thinking seriously, I wanted to help moms impact their life. And if they were asking me a question, I wanted it to be more pliable and doable. And, you know, with the master trainers, they would, when you were at these courses, they would take you out onto the floor, and none of us trained there. None of us were trainers, and I was the only one that ultimately ended up working for the company out of like the 12 people that took it.
Wow.
But that's how I got into it. So none of it was purposeful as far as in being a personal trainer. It was all just about trying to control my health and fitness and become a mom. You know, when you become a mom, all of a sudden this vulnerability that I had never experienced before was there. And so I wanted to be sure I was healthy and, you know, sounds weird, but protect myself, protect my kid. And, you know, if I felt like a lush, I wasn't going to be able to do that. So that's kind of how it started.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That kind of touches over one of the common topics with females lifting or working out, where I don't want to get too buff, or I don't want to lift heavy, of how am I look like. And even you just mentioned when you started working out, your routine was the bicep exercises in the mirror, the elliptical, right? And that's like typically what is passed down onto like what health and fitness is it's to some degree, right? Like, or at least might be our first perception of what it is. So can you tell us about some success stories you've had, maybe even elaborating on your success story, but with other clients you've worked with that have gone in with some similar mindset of, oh, I don't want to lift, I don't want to get too big, and like how it's really changed their thought process and their physical transformations from it too?
Sure. So, you know, first of all, I feel like, you know, the first meeting is really what sets that up. You ask them what their goals are, and I ask them how committed they are to those goals, and if they have any preconceived like ideas on what that means, you know. So bulky, I'm like, so what is bulky? Like, how do you get that? You know, and, you know, sometimes they'll use somebody in the gym, or they would use me, and they're like you're okay, but like not bulky. So you know, I would try to find some sort of gauge, because it's really important to understand like what bulky is to somebody, what working out is to somebody, because then it gives you like somewhere to start and help them with their success story. So and then I ask them, I say, well, I can tell you, training with me, what that looks like is, it means we're going to lift weights. It means that, you know, we're going to start off very foundationally, and then eventually, you know, those kettlebells that you were saying that you would never want to lift, like, that's how I train. So if that's not you, then we find you somebody that fits you. Because listen, at the end of the day, if you're working out, and even if you're just doing biceps and elliptical, if you're moving, I think you're doing the right thing for you. But for me, and to train with me, this is what I do, because that's how I see results. So that's how the conversations start. And very rarely does somebody say, yeah, that's not for me. They're like, well, tell me about weights. And, you know, the number one thing I use, and I'm sure I either showed it from you guys or got it from one of you, because you all three are amazing, smart trainers, that every time we would talk and come together, it was just about like getting more information from you. But so it's that graphic that is 5 pounds of muscle and 5 pounds of fat. And so whenever I show that to a female, I tell them the only way to change that is muscle, and tell me how you get muscle. Not by going like this on the elliptical machine, right? It's by building muscle, and you need to use weights. So yes, we'll start out with body weight. Yes, we'll do that. Yes, we'll, you know, move without weights at first because we have to. So I've had one client that I've worked with almost 3 years, and she literally started with 0 intrinsic ability, motor neuron as far as in movement. And she, 3 years later, she also has chronic back pain and chronic alignment pain. So she's followed me all the way since I've moved to PA, and she is now a huge success story as far as her intrinsic. We work out 3 times a week. She does 2 times, maybe 3 times on her own as far as in her own cardiovascular training. And she's a mom of 2, and she is literally, she's a size 4, was size 12, but she is stronger than me. Like, the goal was to get her strong. She's stronger than me. She's squatting on the squat rack. She's deadlifting. She's, you know, again, but the biggest thing is I can't get you there in 6 months. Like, I'm the wrong trainer if you're thinking you're just going to hire me before your wedding, because I can't get you there, because I'm going to tell you to eat right. I'm going to tell you to sleep. I'm going to tell you to work out regularly. And so the best cases are when you know your brand and you know how you can help somebody specific, and the people who are really coming to you because they're wanting to change their life. And luckily I train 99% women, and all of them are older, as far as, you know, 35s, 40, 45s, 61. And for them right now, it's about healthy, and aesthetics come later. So I have long game clients, which is super helpful. So that's one.
No, but that's really important that you also mentioned that the 2 things I like there were, well, many things I like, but 2 that really caught me was, one, like understanding what the client deems to be bulky, what to them bulky looks like, right? Because to us, to other clients, to other members of the public, like, we have different perceptions of what might be bulky. Again, like if we're in an environment where you have coworkers that are like monsters or like beasts, like that to us is bulky, right? Whereas and then you even said so yourself, if a client said to you, oh no, but you're okay, like actually your body, and then if they don't know the story behind your workout routine or what your history is weights, right, then now they're a bit more in tune with what the reality is. But then also communicating and being completely transparent about timeframes, where like, I can't get either in 6 months, if your wedding's in 2 months. Like Anthony jokes when he mentioned a story about a client said, can you get me in shape before my birthday? When is your birthday? In 2 weeks. He was like, come on.
Right, yeah, I got you.
Right?
You. Just drink water.
Drink your tea.
Yeah, it's drink your tea and don't eat for 3 days straight.
You'll be
that
fine.
kind of stuff.
So
but then,
Mm-hmm.
and again, we want to ask like how your quarantine routine's look like, but the other thing with quarantine is there's a lot of obviously negative thoughts or press that's come out from quarantine, like being in isolation. Like, if you were to look back at this quarantine, what have been some of the positives that have come out for you? Like, I know some people it's like spending more time with the dogs. Like, what for you, what has been some of the positives that have come out of this lockdown?
So it was really reaffirming in my career choice, actually, because, you know, my prior life was retail management, and that's taken such a large hit in the community. And I have to say, I feel so much gratitude for being in the fitness industry, and I'm working full time. And there's not a lot of us that can say that. So the biggest thing I've actually learned is retention and how to adapt. You know, I'm 43 years old. I don't like going and clipping and trimming down a video and like learning how to post it for my client. That's something I know. So I've had to like throw myself into adapting my business from, you know, virtual training, which I do. I would say I retained all but 4 of my clients as far as like through the virtual training.
Wow.
And, you know, there's hiccups with all of that. And how to do it and how to retain and how to still give them the same quality, hopefully the same engagement. It came down to, if you were to look at my studio right now, like normally it's lined with weights and I have no weights because I
that's your
loaned
own,
them.
right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Must
I
be nice.
loaned them so that they could at least like, so some only got like one this and one that, and we have to be adaptable. And, but you know, part of retention was like, how can I help you be successful at your home? Helping them set up their own small space in their own house. Because people don't like working out at home. And so how do you help that environment? So that's the biggest thing. Spending more time with my family. No, I'm good. I love my family. And I also feel like people need space. I like work. You know, my husband likes work. My kid likes school. My kid likes his friends. I am not a teacher yet. I have to be. So, I've enjoyed the work aspect. Actually, it's pretty invigorating to have to reinvent my own business, because if it doesn't, it fails. You know, if I lose all my clients, I'm word of mouth. I don't do anything else. Everything is referral. So that's definitely the biggest thing.
I can only imagine how, if you, like you said, you feel like you're delving more into the world of like editing videos. I can only imagine how much even more success you would get if you were more involved. That's just my take.
I need to hire somebody if I could like do that.
Well, you're more than welcome to ask us for any help. So
and I need to, because I you know, was reading a book, and my husband and I were talking about a book he's actually reading, and it just talks about how, you know, posting 3 times a day on 3 different vehicles, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Instagram, and I have to fit that in, and then also fit in the editing of the videos. And like, sometimes I'm like, I don't have time to edit this. It's a gift to you. So hopefully it's okay as far as the entry. Most of the time I like to like cut off the entry, but you know, it's a public service when I put those out.
For all that stuff, it's a skill, you know. You know, some people have the skill to just sit down and do that for hours a day. I personally don't, you know, because it's just like I just get bored. And I can't do that shit. And for you to retain the business to keep doing that, that's great.
Yeah.
Or you know, without doing all that stuff, you know, without sitting down and clipping and editing and adding this and that, it's great.
Well, you know, it becomes easier when there's short clips, because I used to build programs and I would put the video in. I learned that from you, Jacques, actually. Like he would, you know, whatever. And then I was like, wait, why for my brand am I going onto YouTube and finding the best example of this? So I started making my own and then putting them in there for when people go away on vacations, or, you know, paid me for a program or something. Just put that. So that's what I've done with that. But it's when I post the full workouts that I'd like to go through and, you know, whatever. But I'll get there maybe. Maybe. My 7-year-old will probably be able to teach me in a year.
Sure.
Well, when you left Equinox, how long ago was that again? I can't remember.
Oh, it was a horrible time.
That was a while back.
That was 3 years. 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
How was the transition from there to coming to PA to starting your own business? You know, what was something that you had to? Was there anything you had to learn? Was there something you had to sort of get out of a habit of?
Yeah. Well, it was really emotional. You know, I had some post-traumatic stress stuff that, because you guys know, I used to work so much that I didn't really have to like deal with. And, you know, I came here and I didn't work for the first, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks. And so I ended up dealing with a lot of my nephew's passing feelings, which was healing, because I would just go around and literally try every gym that I could drive to easily to see which atmosphere I liked the best. And so it became very therapeutic to work out. And, you know, I wrote a program for myself for the first time and did that. And it just kind of got me refocused into not having to work, 65, 70 hours a week. And then, I was able to heal a little bit personally, which was super important as well, because you carry your own, shit with you basically, and you put that out there. And so, I can lead life with a little less that baggage. So adjusting, yes, because I didn't have a place to work out, and that's always been such an important therapy for me. I like to put that into my routine no matter what and figure out what that looks like. So I had to find all of that. And then I did, and, I ended up working there part-time. So
cool.
It was good. It was a good experience.
How have your clients been dealing with the quarantine and stuff? Especially
when say that again.
How have they been coming along with, quarantine workouts? Has there been a big pushback in terms of, hey, I'm at home now, I really, because for me at least, it's been hard to work out at home. I have some weights here, but it's tough. And you said earlier, right now, not everybody likes to work out at home. What have you tried to tell them at least to keep them accountable, other than having the schedule with you?
Well, so, I mean, a lot of that became, my dog is tearing up my, literally, holy, speaking of working out, she's up there tearing up the carpet. Well, I haven't had any pushback, actually. I've been completely blessed with that. I think the biggest thing was for me, how could I be sure that I engaged them? How could I be sure that I was programming in a way that would make them feel like they were still making progress? How could I make things seem purposeful and needing to do it? From somebody who's, doing goblet squats with 45-pound weights and they don't have that at their house, how can I make them feel like they're still getting stronger? So, I think it was the first 2 weeks, and how flexible I was probably really important to them because they were uncomfortable with it. But I have a few clients now that, they've expressed that, they want to keep Saturday mornings in their living room with their music, their whatevers. And, my 7 a.m.s, they're like, I built this whole area, I'll just stay here. Then I don't have to prep and come to you. So I think, again, it's long game clients, and what are they in for? It's the corniest thing ever, but what is their why, and why is it important to them? And if it's about aesthetics, that doesn't always take them. But if it is about health, and it is about feeling stronger, and it is about I'm turning 45 and I don't want to fall down and twist my ankle because I'm not healthy, then, people stay engaged. And, I haven't had any pushback like that. And if it's weights or something, I mean, I'll take my weights to them. If it's bands or something, I'll buy bands and I'll take it to them. One of them, I go to the shore on the weekends, and she comes here and does bar squats, the 3-year client I was telling you about. So that keeps her engaged because we keep on going back to the squat rack. We find ways to, it's my job to keep them engaged in that way, because it's probably easier to quit right now. So I haven't had any pushback in that sense. But I've also really not accepted that I won't help them succeed. So sometimes it's verbalizing how we're going to help them succeed together.
Have you had anybody slowly transition back into seeing you personally? Or is it still mostly virtual training?
No, virtual training. So where I live, we're the county that was hit hardest in PA. So there's areas all around us that are open, and this county is still not open. So being that I am LLC'd and insured, I have to follow guidelines. So although I may start outside training outside maybe in 2 weeks. So
can you tell us a little bit about your work with her Well Wisher? What is it? How did it start?
So, speaking of time, so one of the things I've wanted to get way back into is that website, and also, you know, the meaning behind it, and editing videos. So a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, we've known each other a very long time. We were sitting in Huntington Beach, and she had just lost her father. I had just gone through a tremendous loss as well. And, you know, we were just talking about how lucky we were to have another female to look at us and not judge our sorrow, or, you know, not judge why we're still sad about what we're going through, or telling us, you know, it's time to heal now, or whatever it is, and just be really not judgmental in that piece of it. And how could we lift each other up to help each other succeed, in the truest of forms. Like, what can I do? And somebody says nothing, just sit here, don't talk to me, and like really respect that and be in their space. So that's how Her Well Wisher came, is we just, you know, we were like, you know, just well wish somebody, and it became that. And so then it became this, like, reaching out to females who have gone through, you know, cancer, loss of a child, loss of a dad, being bullied in high school, to now they're successful women doing X, Y, and Z, you know, doctors, or, you know, non-profits, and those kinds of things. So that's where it came from. And it was a healing process for many people to put their story out there and have people comment on it. And, you know, mostly females commenting, oh my gosh, you went through that. You're like Superwoman. Like, thank you for sharing your story. And, you know, I didn't know that I wasn't alone. This is great to know that. And, you know, there's a lot of work to still be done in that. We both she went to Texas, and I went to the East Coast. And so it was hard to maintain. And she's the one behind the beautiful layout of the website. And she is the computer woman. So hopefully we'll get back to diving into that, and in a very different, and the goal was always to have a studio for me to work in, and then a support center kind of thing for, you know, Her Well Wisher, in a combined zone. So that's the goal. Still be there. We wanted to do like Her Well Wisher retreats, and, you know, invite women to come for short weekends and supply them with amazing food and workouts and yoga and meditation and fun. So all those dreams are still there. It's just, you know, the road to get there is, well, it's got to happen someday.
Oh, the COVID bump on the road. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well,
That's unbelievable.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, again, it's a two-part party. So that'll come to life. We have to get down to that. Thanks for mentioning that. When I talk about it, it reminds me how passionate I am about supporting women through things.
Mm-hmm.
I think the sharing of other women's stories, like you said, if you promote the awareness, and it allows more variety of women just knowing that there's similar stories to theirs out there with similar backgrounds, or even just similar struggles, right? Like, it helps them feel that there is a lot more of a support system that might be tangibly visible to them right there and then, right? And even if it's in another state, another state, another side of the country, there are those support systems. And that's one of the things I'd like most about it as well.
Oh, well, thank you guys for even asking. It's so thoughtful.
No, it's unbelievable. And I think that one of the biggest parts, touching on what Jacques has said, is like one of the biggest things when you go through something and you don't feel like somebody's there, you don't have a support group. And we're kind of like blessed in the sense that we live in New York and we have a lot of people around us, you know, always in constant communication, and we see people, right? And sometimes even if you're going through something on a subway or in a park, like somebody's always there, and somebody might reach out and say, hey, are you okay? Is everything going all right? But, you know, not every place is like NYC. And then the further away you are from people, sometimes you feel like you're isolated and you're alone. So it's really good that you have kind of like that platform to be able to reach out and to communicate with people who are going through something. And then it's like a two-way communication. Like, they can reach out to you, you can reach out to them, to have that support system when you might not feel like you have that. So that's really important.
Well, you'd be like really surprised too. Like, we had tons of people that would like reach out to us and say, you know, I have never told anybody my story that's very similar to this, and I won't, but knowing that I'm not alone is, you know, enough to help me heal a little bit, or, you know, seek help, or, those sort of things. So it's the purpose behind it was very much like this group that is sharing is putting themselves out there because they're trusting you to not judge them, because they would never judge your story, right? And I think that's like, if we could do that as humans, if we approach people with unconditional positive regard in the first place, then, we would be in a different place, because I don't need to have a judgment of who it is, what it is, and of who you are until you show me who that person is. And I feel like females have a lot of work, and we could really change the world if we did that.
Mel, I want to ask, you did a fitness competition, right? Your bodybuilding stuff.
I sure did.
You're on the spot. When's the next one?
Not.
How was that? How was the journey to it?
Well, so that was
you had the idea of doing?
No, so it's funny, where we worked together, we were surrounded by people who did these competitions, and I never saw myself doing that, but respecting what it is, we would see the work that they would put in, but I never saw myself doing any of that. So it just kind of happened in that same transition period of when I moved, when I left New York, and I wrote my own program, and, started to really focus in on that. And it actually, the show, let's say, just gave me a really strict, tight focus on my physical fitness and my plan and the way and what I would intake. And it just kind of like grew from there. And then, somebody I worked with, he had previously coached people females in competitions, and he had done them himself. And, we're like, all right, I was like, I'll try it. So I stepped on stage, for my first time last time at 41, and, did it. It was quite the experience.
Wow. That's great. Cause it's a big, I think from, when we were back at Equinox, or whenever you and I work out or talk about fitness, it's kind of a jump, right? I think from
yes.
going from one thing that you're doing into bodybuilding, I think it's a big change. It's big. You're more regimented, I think, right? Or you have all these things that you have to think and take into account that a lot of people don't realize, and when they get into doing bodybuilding, they just get put off.
Yeah, so I would say that I took a lot of what you knew of me working out, and I still insisted on working in planes. And I'm not saying that all don't. I'm just saying I insisted on working in all planes when I worked out. I didn't want to come out of it and be like, I did all this work to my body over the last 7 years, and then because I'm bodybuilding, I'm only working in these, forward and backward motions to get those. I was still on a program to do complete body work and recovery work and eating, right? So I refused to not eat. So my nutrition coach, basically, I used to work with him at Equinox. And so we talked a lot about what I would eat, how I would eat, not supplementing a ton of protein shakes. So how could I do all this in a really healthy, not starving myself way? So it was a lot of work in that I ate a lot, and it was a lot of food, and not supplements. It was food. So that was the hardest part, was, eating 8 times a day, even if it was a container of cherry tomatoes to get the carbs I needed, or half a sweet potato with those. So it was all about food for me. But it was great because I also learned a ton about how my body works, and everybody's body is so different. So I learned I can't eat a ton of fat after I work out for a certain amount of hours, because if I do, then it does something to me that it doesn't do to other people. I have to eat that before. And I just didn't know that that's how my body would respond. So I learned a lot that I get to carry into my lifestyle now, as far as in the eating and the working out.
Any of your clients come with you and asked about them training for bodybuilding? Have you inspired any one of your clients?
Yes, and we all have our lanes, and I always tell them that I know people who can help them, and it's a craft. You know what I'm saying? It's a definite craft, and the guy who trained me taught me some things that I didn't really understand. That if you just turn your elbow up and your hand and your thumb pinky up, and then you do a lateral with that, you kind of get a different little something. Or if you corkscrew your heels in when you're doing this, you activate the hamstrings more. So like, this, but then applying it to yourself is something. And I feel like going into it green and not understanding what that means, like I would want somebody in hands of an experienced person. I could get them there and foundationally, and then somebody else could get them there in the elevated way for sure.
Cool. Nice.
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions, but I actually want to touch on something that you just kind of said. And it leads into like one big impromptu kind of like question. Okay. So just bear with me on this. So, you just spoke about how like if you have a client that wants to get into bodybuilding, somebody for that, you can get them there foundationally and then maybe pass the torch, so to speak, to something else. Earlier in the podcast, you had made mention to doing something similar with like clients who reach out to you and you're just like, it's not my wheelhouse per se. Like, again, you can get them there foundationally, but you have a referral network. So that's one part. And then the other part that you spoke about is tying in the myth busting and the assessment, right? These two things that you did are very important, right? So the myth busting and the assessment are probably the most important, because you're assessing a client, you're going through like everything that the client has to see. Like, you have to see movement, nutrition, sleep habits, and all that. But a large part of it that people miss is the myth busting and saying, yes, if you increase your protein, whatever, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll gain weight, or lifting weights doesn't necessarily make you bulky. Like, you tie in like myth busting with the assessment, because that's a crucial part. A lot of people just say, don't listen to anything, just listen to me. But it's not really about that. It's about communication with the client. Similarly, when you're listening to the client about their goals and where they want to get to, you also speak about like how maybe this isn't my wheelhouse. Maybe you can work with me for right now, but I know somebody who does bodybuilding, who does Olympic lifting, and I can tie you in with that person. So these two things are pivotal points. They're communication. You're listening to your client, which is huge and it's very impactful. And I think it's shown in your retention, because you said you had a client that followed you from New York to PA, which is unbelievable. I don't know too many people who have clients that follow them state to state, but
made someone move.
Well, I don't know, man, that might be virtual, but like it's still legit. Like, you have clients that followed you moving state to state. And I think that it speaks volumes to your style of training, your style of coaching, like listening to your clients' needs and understanding their wants and understanding where they want to get to, right? And this has shown, I think this is an example of like your retention going a long way, like your client retention going a long way. And now that you start your own business, it's very important. Or client retention is very important, as well as kind of like them being able to speak to other people. I know somebody in this industry who's great, boom, right? So client retention is a really important thing. And I think you've kind of mastered that. With that said, do you have any helpful hints or tips to trainers who are starting out, or people who have had kind of like not such a great tenure with client retention, like how to get them to that point? Because you obviously, I mean, at least to me, you obviously have some really good knowledge about that.
Well, thank you. I'm blushing. I miss these conversations, So I guess, one of the biggest things is that when I came into the fitness career, and then, then when I became fitness manager and personal training manager, I was always surrounded by this plethora of talent and people who had been in the field for a long time, people who had been educated and then came into the field to apply what they had learned in college. And so, I always saw myself when I first came in, I was a real life story, right? As far as like what I applied to fitness to myself. But then, I brought the business that I knew from my past in order to drive business. So part of it is understanding the business needs. So I know I need X amount of clients, and I've done this with all of you, I know. but I need X amount of clients to train X amount of times for this return, right? And so what clients are those? So where is my niche? And I think that it's important that, you know, people don't say I can train anyone, anywhere, on anything, because then you're doing a disservice to the ones who really can do, you know, powerlifting training, and you're doing a disservice to your client, and they're going to know, and they're going to leave you. So, you know, I don't think that you need to pocket yourself with, you know, one part of a brand. Like, this is my brand. This is all I train. This is all I do. That's not what I'm saying. I know that my pocket, I identified it, is women who are over 35, or women that are younger and are married and have kids, right? And they want to change their body back. And moms and or professionals that have either lost track of where they're at in life and they want to gain some self back and they want to keep it. So I tell people all this time that if you find somebody who is broken up with fitness many times, that the number one thing I tell people is, you remember that girlfriend or that boyfriend a long time ago, or maybe just your last one, and you broke up 6 times and you kept going back. Why? Like, what made you keep going back to that person? Like, they were bad. They were toxic. Like, why are you going back? It's toxic, right? Yeah. And who you're with now, whether it be yourself or whether it be a significant other, like, you're with them. Now think of what they would have to do in order for you to break up with them or leave them. Or what would you have to do to yourself to be like, I'm done with you? Like, it's unmeasurable. So I challenge them to have the same relationship within themselves with fitness. And if you can do that, if you cannot make up and break up with fitness, but if you truly marry and commit to fitness and you make it part of who you are, they are committed, right? And so they look to me to help them stay committed. And I care about the people that they are. So I would say, you know, to a new trainer or to somebody who's struggled is, you know, you find out why this person keeps up. Have they been breaking up or making up with, you know, with fitness in and out of life? And, you know, find out why that is. And it could be job, it could be, you know, I became a mom, it could be I got divorced, it could be whatever it is. And you help them repair that. And that's kind of mentally, like, what do you think would help you repair that? Like, what do you think would help you fix that piece to where you could get committed again to yourself? Not counseling, because that's outside of our wheelhouse, but, you know, within that, how can we tie and how can we fix this through fitness? Like, how can we build that back up? And then also, they've never had a relationship with fitness. They just, you know, maybe you and them don't vibe, which I think is also really important to understand their beliefs and your beliefs, and do they match? Like, I don't think everybody should take on every client. I think that it's important to understand, like, this is who I do well with. This is who I mesh with. I mesh really well with women that are mothers because I get it. I mesh really well with professional women who are trying to be successful because I get that life too. So I know that there's a positive connection there, because we have so much in common. So I feel like, you know, that's where you start, and you get really good at that. And you get really good at getting to know the person, and, you know, try to remember the last conversation you had with them when you saw them last, whether that's making notes or whether that's just like truly sincerely caring about what they're talking to you about. Like, are you engaged with them during your session, or are you looking at what time it is? And we all get that sometimes, but they can tell when you're engaged with them. And I think that you owe it to that's your job. Be engaged with who they are, what they're saying, remember what they talk about. And, you know, some self-reflection may find that you're causing your own turnover. And so you may have to say, you know what? Yeah, I cancel too much, or yeah, I, you know, reschedule too much, or I'm late. Like, so some of those things that we push to the side, like as a business runner, I can't do that, because if I do, I don't retain. So I think, you know, professionalism is number one. And number two is supporting them through, you know, we think it's not a big deal when somebody says, oh my God, you're going to hate me for what I ate last night. I went to a barbecue and I da, 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 da. And sometimes we feel like it's our job to, like, make them feel worse. Like they're telling on themselves already, so sometimes our job is to help them reflect on what made them not stop. Like, why did you keep going? Why was it 2 hamburgers? Why was it an ice cream too? Like, where could we stop that behavior next time? Rather than like, yeah, man, you suck. I'm going to push you hard today, make you throw up. Right? Then they don't trust you. Then they're going to start doing these habits behind your back, just like a 12-year-old or a 15-year-old. And you're not going to know what it is.
Yeah,
right? So it's like,
yeah. There's too many stories. There's just too many stories about that. I think we've all had that client that's done that.
Exactly.
Or like the client that it wasn't our client typically, and then like we get the client because of a referral or whatever, and they say it and they expect you to like beat their ass for whatever they ate. And we're just like, I'm not gonna beat your ass. Like, why did you do it?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like extracting the information. Like if you fell asleep, you had a dream, and like 3 days later you're trying to recollect it. Like, I don't know why I ate all that pasta. I'm trying to put it in my head, so it's crazy.
Yeah. So, it's are you the supportive person? Can they trust you? Can they tell you they messed up? Because if they can tell you all that and you can help them get through that, you're accepting them as a person, their lifestyles. They don't have to be what you think or what they think you should be. They should know that you do not judge them and you accept them for the person that they are when they walk through the door, no matter who, what, or what they ate last night. They showed up. I'm like, well, you're not in line at McDonald's right now. Right. Like, you're here. So that's where we're at right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's
I got a
focus
good
on
story
that.
about that as well. But, you guys want to hear it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
No, it's a client you'll know as well, Mel. He pretty much was like not working at the time, and it was like, all right, let's work on some nutrition habits. You're not working, you're looking for work. Why don't you go down to Trader Joe's and just go, just see what your options are. And Trader Joe's on the Upper West Side is like on the block away from McDonald's, right? So his comments were, so I went to Trader Joe's. I'm like, and he goes, I saw the line and I thought, fuck it. I went to McDonald's, I got a Big Mac, and it felt so good. And it just, I went from suggesting going to look at what your options are, just familiarize yourself with like time together, what you can buy, and it like backfired. It like, but what are the odds? I say you just explore your options in a food store. So it could be like, fuck it, McDonald's, like that. It was. So that happens. Not much you can do sometimes, Yeah.
Going kind of like with that. Well, this is going to be a change of gears, but kind of like to capsule it, it's like paying attention to your clients, understanding who they are, understanding who you are, and how that will impact the relationship long term is like a good strategy to kind of like readjust and reevaluate how you retain clients, sort of, right?
He's so good at paraphrasing. Yes, that's great. Yes,
write
that down for me.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who just ramble. Friends that send like 10 text messages and they're all like paragraphs, and they can type faster than you can respond back. I have a lot of friends that do that, so I have a lot of exercises in trying to summarize what they're trying to say. But anyway, not to ramble, and I know you got to go because you got a client in like 5, right?
Oh my God, is it that time already? Yeah.
It is that time.
I have a few minutes, but go ahead.
I'm going to say like one quick question, and then we'll give you an opportunity to kind of plug any information, like where people can find you at. So the one question that I had in regards to like your training experience is also your managerial experience. What are some lessons that you've learned from those sort of like leadership roles? Because training is a leadership role because somebody's looking to you for expertise. And it's your job to kind of like facilitate that. But also as a manager where you're facilitating and managing like other experts. So what are some valuable lessons that you've learned in these various leadership roles?
Well, I think you just said it. I think it's important to know the expertise that you're surrounded by and let them do them. Like there is no one way. Everybody feels like their way is either the more proper way or the way to train, but as a manager, like you have to let them be the trainer as long as they're safe. We can talk many stories about that, but as long as they are safe, you can have your style, right? Because at the end of the day, people are moving. And if they're moving and you're keeping them safe, that's our goal as trainers. Now, would we like them to move the way we want them to move? And we would like certain kind of trainer to be certain? Yes. Would we like to be sure everybody's programmed for it? Yes. But at the end of the day, everybody is different. And there's like all three of you alone, I couldn't manage all of you the same. It's not happening. But it doesn't become about managing, in my opinion. And I feel like it's more about the relationship and how you build that respect bridge and how do you go back and forth off of it. If you think that your answer is always right and you don't want new information, then you're not successful. But I also think that crosses over into clients, right? Clients, you need to have a two-way communication, and they need to know that they can trust you. And you at the end of the day are the boss of what's happening. But I feel like there's a certain part of intuitiveness that you need to have. Like if normally they can do what you're doing and you're looking at them and you're like, that just doesn't look right today. Like you need to protect your client and they need to know that you have their back throughout anything. So I would say those are the two, like to trust your intuitiveness because it's there. If something looks wrong, it's wrong. And then also, the relationship that you have as a manager with your people is more important than being their manager. Like the relationship is where you need to build from, and you'll learn more that way.
That's awesome. Thank you. That was great. I've learned so many lessons from you, from when you were our manager. I'm sure David and Jacques can also say the same thing. And
how to be a pain in the ass?
No,
that wasn't one.
Shit.
That
was
was
email from Mel. Mel's like, come to the office. Fuck, what do you want, Mel?
David should have more memes.
Yeah, David was just trying to show her more memes, more dog pictures and all that. Baby Yoda.
You're gonna regret
it. All right.
Well, I have to say, like, you guys are. I'm impressed with what you're doing. I hope you know that forever and always, I've always supported more and more and more, and wanted to see you guys do more and put yourselves out there because you're that amazing and talented and smart, but not just that, like intuitive speakers and like real people, and people could learn so much from you guys.
Sorry about that.
There he is.
Oh, that's okay.
Sorry about that. Hang on, let me just do this really quick. All right, we're good to go. Go ahead. I don't know where you were at, so I didn't want to interrupt, but if you wanted to finish anything, or if you want to plug where people can find you, feel free to do that, and then we'll kind of wrap it up, because I know you have to go. I want to respect your time.
So I am on YouTube. I have some videos, but with the help of you guys, maybe I'll have more. So that's just under my name, Mell Librach, or Her Well-Wisher Fitness, either one. And I mean, you can find me anywhere like that. But what is it? I don't even know on Instagram. It's I think it's Lucky Mell, isn't it?
Lucky Mell.
So Lucky Mell. So
Mell.
that's me on Instagram. I don't do much on it. I probably should do more. But yeah, I mean, or you guys can get with these three amazing guys and they can send me an email, I guess.
Great.
Cool. Perfect.
We'll also let everyone know on Instagram that this episode was launched, or if I pick as well, so people can see. And there'll be a link to that to your Instagram as well. But like, definitely let us know if we can help you in any other ways. And then hopefully when things get back to normal, we can see how you're doing. Probably cool as well. That'll be awesome.
Road trip.
Oh yes. A
Yeah,
little trip.
Road trip to PA.
Oh, for real. Well, we do have a family beach house. Y'all could come and chill at the beach.
Oh,
I'm down.
I've
Just
been
saying.
in months.
Fuck Corona, we out.
The beach is open.
I don't know. I'm good.
Send the invite. We're down.
Cool.
Yes, just let me know. I'm here.
Thank you so much, Mel. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Oh my God,
Mel,
you guys
thank you.
seriously
Nice to
made
see
my
you.
day. You guys are
Great.
doing great.
Likewise. Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you, Mel. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Let me just let Alfie in 1 second.
Okay.
Alfie,
Zach.
come here.
Look at we're gonna still keep going. Look at Jacques' hair. It's crazier. Look at the back. Turn around. Turn the back. The back of your head looks crazier than the front. I'm actually getting used to the front, but the back just looks.
Yeah, it's because the roots are coming in.
You don't expect it. You expect like a blonde hair. I don't know what you expect.
Yeah,
Cup noodles, ramen hair.
It's all right.
It's what's up?
he caught your hair.
Yeah, I mean, it'll go back to normal.
Alfie's in the building.
Yeah, so for those of you listening, that was awesome to have Mel come in for episode 12. She was, again, similar to Francine, was a very pivotal manager in our training careers. When she came to West 76th Street. She had a ton of gems. I was really glad we got her on.
Yeah, it was great to hear some of the things that she had to say, and honestly, like from a different perspective, just looking at kind of like how she's managed her business when moving to a different state has been a really eye-opening experience for me. And like, I'm more than happy to kind of learn from the people that I either used to work with or I still work with. So it's really cool to like kind of keep in touch and see what she's been working on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
All right. So we'll wrap it up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So do we have the confirmation for next week, right?
Yeah, we have the confirmation only if, the business doesn't spike up, right? Because yeah. So, I mean, hopefully he's good to go, but if, God forbid something, well, actually not even God forbid, because like, God forbid his business booms. So like, that's not even a thing. So, but yeah, anyway, we're confirmed for next week. We got a guest. 2 weeks from now, we might have a guest. We might not. This guest has been very elusive. Today, he is on a jet ski. So this man is living a movie, and he's very hard to get in touch with. He was on Z100. He was booked with Z100 the other day, so I had to like make some phone calls, try to pay some people off, and now he's on a jet ski, right? So
we making moves here at the trainer feed.
He's making moves. It's too fast. I got to intercept him. I got to catch him in Central Park, running laps, doing his group fitness videos. I don't know what I got to do. Well, I got to find this man. Most interesting man in the world, hopefully in 2 weeks. Let's see.
Cool.
All right. Later.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
Bye.